So love to introduce you to Cliff Coelho. He's got a website called and a business called storydriven.video. He's a videographer. He wasn't always that. He had an occupation which was probably the antithesis of being sort of a creative video producer. He's an engineer. So, and I think he's a fairly specialized engineer as well. So he's taken what essentially was a hobby and turned that into his business now. And I dare say some of his engineering skills have probably come in helpful with his editing videos, the preciseness with which he does some things. And if you go to his website, there are some stunning videos on there that he's made for business as well too. So we've had Cliff on here before. In fact, it wasn't on Zoom. It was actually live when we had live events way back then. And yeah, he's just got some really incredible information. So you're in for a treat tonight. It is my absolute pleasure to introduce you to Cliff. So let's give him a round of applause to welcome him in.
Thanks, Nick. Thanks, Nick. Thanks, everyone. It's great to be here. Like Nick was saying 2 years ago, I gave my first presentation. It was my first ever one. And yeah, it was with Nick. And 2 years down the line, I'm pretty much talking about the same subject. The only difference is, I think back then, a lot of these things were ideas, and some of it were tested out, some of them were not. But over the last 2 years, I've had the opportunity to really hone everything down and use it for myself and for other businesses as well around Brisbane. And that's what I'll be sharing today. A shout out to Nick. I don't know how he manages to give this much value to business owners week in and week out. I think if you count the total number of hours of value that you give, it's going to be mind-boggling at some point. But anyway, so moving on to my own presentation, I'll share my screen. The way I'll do it is I'll go through the agenda at the start. Tell you what I'll be talking through. If you feel at any point anything I'm talking about is not clear, then feel free to interrupt. I won't necessarily see the hand raised sign. Yeah, just feel free to unmute yourself and yeah, interrupt. And at the end, hopefully you'll have time to answer any questions as well. Other than that, yeah, let's get right to it. So I'll share my screen. Can everyone see my screen? Okay, yeah, awesome. So this is the title for today's presentation, which is about using just one 3-minute video to sell your service that does most of the selling for you in the background while you sleep. So this is based on an article, a very in-depth article that I've written on the same subject. And so you don't have to feel the need to take down any notes or anything. There's a QR code right there, which you can scan, and it'll take you right to the article, which goes much more in depth than I'll be able to go on this call, because on this presentation, because this is going to be like a broad overview, whereas that is pretty much like a course. It's, I think, 6,000 words or something like that. So it's pretty in depth. As for today, yeah. So this is what I'll be telling you a bit about my story. Nick has already done a bit of an introduction. So I started my business in 2019. My background was in engineering, automotive design specifically. So I worked for brands like Ford, Jaguar Land Rover, Bentley, BMW, and a few of them, all in the UK. And I decided to move to Australia, basically with the goal of turning my passion for videography into a business. And that was pretty much all I knew about it. I didn't know anything about marketing. I didn't know about anything about selling, standing out, none of the stuff. So without having any background or even customers to show my work, or case studies or anything like that. I found it initially really difficult to get people to pay for my services. This was despite the fact that visually I could see that my videos were, at least in my own perspective, I felt were better in terms of quality. They looked good visually, but despite that, I couldn't get people to pay for the services. So that got me, that sent me down the rabbit hole of understanding what is it that actually makes people buy. And I went into understanding the psychology of sales and marketing, and combining all the information that I got, I made basically one video that compressed my entire value proposition, and it showed exactly why someone should work with me. And I targeted it very specifically for my ideal customers. So it was not broad. It was for one very specific type of customer, the type of customer that I wanted to work with. And I got rid of all my previous marketing stuff that I was doing. I was making more and more videos. I was posting in groups, and yeah, I was all over the place. I stopped doing all of those things and just started sending traffic, started sending people to watch this one video. And from watching that one video, my ideal customers knew why they should work with me before they even got into a sales call. So by the time we got into a sales call, by the time I got into a sales call with them, they've already sold on the idea. So it was more of a question of negotiating price or something like that. And since then, this is exactly what I've been doing for other businesses as well, for all kinds of businesses, but most of them have been in the service space. So they've been consultants, speakers, book authors, trade businesses, and more recently, I'm even starting to do work with a lot of marketing agencies who are using my videos to sell their services. So because this is something that helps them as well sell themselves. So that's when I know that, okay, this stuff definitely works. So that's what I do now. In today's presentation, what I'll be talking about is the general misconceptions about what works in video marketing. And this is like a lot of stuff that a lot of businesses are doing right now, but it's not really working. And then I'll show you how to use one video to do the same what I did, which is to enhance what you're already doing in your marketing. So you don't have to stop all the things you're doing in your marketing. This will basically enhance and help you increase your conversions from the marketing that you're doing, and give you a better return on investment. I'll show you the 5 key elements that are required in this one video to make it into that sales asset that you can use in your sales process to accelerate and automate it. And then I'll show you how to use your unique story, what part your story plays in that video, which is a very important part. And then finally, how to implement it in your sales process so that no matter what you do after that, the traffic coming to your website or whatever it is you're doing will have a higher quality, will have a better conversion. What I won't be talking about, why these are 2 things. One is why businesses should be making video, because I think that's been done. You know, like everyone, I'm assuming everyone here already knows that video is kind of a necessity in business. So I won't be talking about that. And I won't be talking about the technicalities of making video, as in like how to frame your shot, how to do lighting, and how to do all those things. I have other pieces of content, some of which are within that article itself, which are pretty self-explanatory. You can do that themselves, do it yourself. So starting with what is wrong with the current state of video marketing. So this is what most video marketing, whether they're blogs or gurus or video marketing agencies, are advising you to do, is to make a lot of videos. So I've just given here, I think when I counted, it was 77 ideas for that businesses can be making. So Q&A with staff, daily life of videos, book reviews, FAQ videos, bust a myth, meet a team. The list is endless. I've just listed 77 that came to my mind at one particular time. And technically, there's nothing wrong with any of these videos, but I'll show you what is wrong with focusing entirely all your energy on just doing these. I will come to that a little further down. And the second thing that I find is wrong with the current state of video marketing is that even the ones who don't prescribe doing a lot of content, they suggest making incredibly complex funnels, like doing webinars, launching YouTube channels, doing paid ads, having lead magnets, and yeah, doing all sorts of things that basically add to a lot of the busyness in business, but doesn't really drive anything forward. They just complicate the process. So what I'll be talking mainly about today is how to simplify a lot of this, so that even if you have all this stuff going on in the background, what you learn today will just basically amplify it. It'll make it better. So these are the problems that why the two issues that I've described earlier, they don't work. The two strategies, one is of making a lot of content, and so the other one was of using complex funnels. First of all, there's too much noise in the market. So here's a stat that is quite shocking, really. On YouTube alone, every single minute, there's 500 hours of video uploaded. So even by the time I finish this sentence, there'll be another 500 hours of new video being uploaded to the internet, and this is only on YouTube. We're not taking into consideration Facebook Lives, which consume a lot more bandwidth, and TikTok and all these other platforms. So the competition for attention is at an all-time high, and to compete with this with more content is kind of like not a strategy that's worth even trying, as in competing purely on volume. Also, I've not taken it, this doesn't take into factor that now we were just talking about AI. Now we've reached a point where AI can create content pretty much on automation without even having a starting point. You just give it some level of input of who your target audience is and who, what your product is, what you're trying to sell to them. And AI pretty much does the rest. It creates the video and it publishes it, and it'll schedule it on different platforms as well. So competing purely on volume is not any longer a viable strategy. And then secondly, overexposure to sales messages. So this stat was taken from the US, where the exposure is probably higher than anywhere else. But on average in the US, like people are subjected to 10,000 sales messages in a day. So this is not just on Facebook and Google and all these places. This is like in train stations, at in a taxi, and pretty much anywhere you can think of. People are being exposed to advertising. So the appetite is going down every single day for yet another business video. This one is probably one of the most important aspects, which is market sophistication. This was introduced by a legendary marketer called Eugene Schwartz, from, I don't know, he's from the 1950s or something, but he's considered to be one of the greatest marketers of all time. What this means is basically there's different, like whatever service or product you're launching, there's different stages of market sophistication. For example, diet pills, they first came out something like in 1893 or something. And at that time, all they had to do was say, take these diet pills and you'll lose weight. That was like a novelty at the time. So based on that message alone, they were able to make a lot of sales. But if you try to sell with that same message in today's market, it's much more jaded, where like a lot of people have seen the same ads over and over again. A lot of people have tried and they've failed with the same diet pills. So even if it's a legitimate pill that can actually lose weight, it's just that the message will not connect anymore because the market has become more sophisticated. And the thing with what's happening now is that regardless of what industry you're working on, chances are you're in a sophisticated market. So there's either mass competition or there's complete saturation, or the market is jaded and cynical. To give you an idea, when I entered the video marketing industry, this is probably what would best describe the level of market sophistication, which was complete saturation. So people still had some faith in video, but there's too many videographers out there and everyone's selling the same thing. So they're selling the same end result, which is we make videos, but no one really knows what is the distinction beyond that. Why we know other people who make videos too. Why should we choose you? So that was what I was up against. And this solution was created to address that. And this is probably this is what I hear from a lot of my conversations with my clients is generally, if you're selling some kind of service, especially if the cost of the service is on the higher side. So if it's a higher ticket, the higher ticket sale, if it's a price of above, say 5,000 and above, 5,000 and above, then it requires a building up of a lot of trust upfront, because people are, handing over what they consider to be a significant amount of money to you. So building that trust in an instant is a challenge for a lot of businesses, because same thing, the oversaturation and then the oversupply of options has made this more and more difficult. And then finally, if you somehow get past all this, a lot of businesses, especially service businesses, have complex value propositions. So they drive traffic to their website, for example, from different sources: email marketing, SEO, referrals, YouTube channels, webinars, paid promotions. But when people get to their website, there's different pathways they can go through for them to find the right type of information. So there's the about section of services, locations, and all these things that people have to find this information, but they have to find it in the right order as well, in the way the human mind normally absorbs information. So we are leaving it entirely up to a prospect to understand the sequence and know exactly how they should find this information on our websites. When in reality, the average new user spends between 2 to 4 minutes on most websites. So within that time, we're expecting them to learn all this stuff. So this one-shot video was able to help me, and since then, our clients have been using it in the same way to solve most of these problems in terms of positioning, in terms of giving people all the information they need so that they are ready to get to the next stage, and compress their value proposition basically in a very powerful way, where anyone who watched the video would instantly build trust with them, understand how they're unique, and have a very direct correlation in terms of understanding how they can be helped. So this is the 3-step process that I'll be going through. So first thing is compress your value proposition into a short story video that shows why someone should work with you. Number 2, put it in places where people are already finding you. So this means that you don't have to invest in new funnels and CRMs and other things to get this going. Use what you already have. In fact, all you need is one platform that is working for you. It doesn't matter which one it is. And once you put this video in place in the sales process, it will work for you constantly, turning strangers into, first of all, prospects, and then eventually buyers on repeat. And this is just one example. Basically, I've shown this is what my how I used it on my website, where I made it the first thing that people would see when they landed on my website. It is still how I use it, so that regardless of whether they look at anything else, they have an opportunity to watch this one video and then decide whether they want to take things further or not. So this is what I call as a 5D story video. The reason it's called 5D is because it's got 5 key elements that make this video from a typical video to basically a sales machine, something that does the selling for you. And I'll go through each of these elements one by one. But first, quickly, through all of that, I talked about compressing your value proposition into a short video. What is the use of story in all of this? Why do we randomly bring story? So for 3 main reasons. One is story simplifies complex ideas. This is important because if someone doesn't understand, first of all, what your service is, or secondly, how they can benefit from it, then it makes them less likely to buy from you. Secondly, it builds trust. So by sharing your story, your personal story as a business, you build trust because you're giving a very clear reason for existence, why you're showing your personal connection to why your business exists. And the third one is it attaches a higher perceived value to your brand. So this has always been claimed in the past, but it was never proven until someone actually did a study on this. So there was this experiment called the significant objects experiment. You can still look it up. So what basically it was an author. So he was a writer. He wanted to prove exactly how much does story actually increase the perceived value of a product by. So he purchased items for $129. And what he did is he sent it to his author friends and got them to write made up stories about these objects. And these were things like the things you're seeing on the screen here: trinkets, belt buckles, this little rhino thing. I don't know what it is. But anyway, he got them to write made up stories on them, and he put them back on eBay. And he managed to sell them at the price of $3,612, which is 28 times the original market value. And he did this purely by adding story, nothing else. He didn't change anything else. Now, the good thing about business is that you don't need to make up these stories. Every business genuinely has some story that drives them to do things in a certain way. Yeah. The only question is you need to find it. And that is a story that helps you connect with your audience. So yeah, it helps increase that perceived value. So this is the 5D story blueprint, and these are the 5 elements. What I'll do is I'll talk through each of these and go through quickly what needs to go into each of them. If you go on my article, it's much more in depth with examples, with video examples, and of clients and breakdowns and all those things. But what I'll do here is I'll give an overview of what each part is, how to implement each of these in your video. So the 5 elements of the 5D story video are: number 1 is a hook, then is a story, then is the unique value proposition, which I call, I've given an acronym UVP just to make things simple, process, and then the action. So the first one is the hook, which is basically the goal of the hook is to get your viewer engaged in your video within the first 5 to 10 seconds. Because studies have shown that that's how long you have with someone new who has never experienced a brand before, to decide. Like, that's how long people take to decide whether they're going to watch your video or not. So even if you make the most amazing video, both visually and through story, if your hook is not strong enough and the person has switched off, then obviously it's a waste of a video. So the hook is something I spend a lot of time with, probably more than I should be. I'm absolutely obsessed with the hook, and yeah, this could be like a whole presentation on its own. But the easiest way to identify a hook is think of your audience. Think of your audience and what perception they have about your service. Chances are a lot of their perceptions are not relevant anymore. So for example, in my video, my hook that I used was that a lot of businesses think that all they need to do is they need to keep selling their product. But when in reality, people want to build trust with brands and understand why they're unique. So I took a perception that my target audience already had, and I flipped it. So when you do that, you do what is called as a thought reversal. You change someone's perception, and when you change that perception on something, then they're more receptive to accept your ideas, basically. Next one is story. So story is quite simple. You go into the story of why your business exists in the first place. So what key problems were you trying to solve? The reason for story is, like I said, it simplifies complex subjects, builds instant trust, and it positions you in a way that it's difficult to do with anything else. So in your story, you need to every business will have a lot of stories to tell, but you need to identify the one story that shows your unique processes. So there would have been certain points in your story as a business where you were trying something potentially that didn't work very well, and then you did certain things to change that in the industry, for yourself maybe, or for your clients. Maybe you reached that solution by accident, or maybe you felt like you were in the you were in a position where you had to do something about it. There's different types of stories, but you need to identify the one story that highlights your unique process. And then that story becomes relevant to what you sell. Otherwise, it's just another story. The story is also where you introduce yourself. You tell, what your name is in the business and what you do. A lot of businesses, like a lot of videos, what I find is they start with their own introduction at the start. So the video starts with something like, hi, my name is Coelho. I'm the founder of storydriven.video. So by doing this is such a common mistake, that by doing this, you lose your viewer, because you've not given them enough reason to stay in the video by doing that. Because when people first find out about you, they want to know what's in it for them. This is the hard reality. They don't really care about who you are at this point. It's only once you've proven yourself and given them a reason to stay, that's when they'll watch the rest of the video. If you don't have a strong hook, simply tell what you're going to do in this video. So if you're going to talk about, if you're an accountant, or you're going to talk about some unique accountancy strategies that'll help business save money, then just start off with, in this video, I'm going to start off by sharing with you, accountancy strategies that'll help you save a lot of, be specific with your numbers, save maybe 20% in your business without changing anything else, or something like that. So by doing this, you instantly give the viewer the reason to watch the rest of your video. So that's the story. Next is
Can I interrupt?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't want to interrupt your conversation. This I find is a really interesting topic about your story because I've had a big discussion with somebody else about this recently.
Okay.
And I'm sick to death of hearing people's stories. I'm absolutely sick to death of it. I just want them to tell me what the F they sell and get on with it. I don't like that story bit. And interestingly enough, someone else that I've had a conversation with recently said the same thing, that your story is a waste of time. It's not about your story. It's about emotionally connecting with your customer. So I don't want to ruin your webinar, but I find this really interesting. I'm over stories. That's just me. But,
okay.
So why do you think stories are just so important?
Well, story is important because what I mentioned earlier, it just helps people absorb information better. When people know a backstory as to why something exists, it's just how as humans, we are hardwired to absorb stories better than we are through logical information. There's plenty of like scientific evidence on this subject as well. It's not.
Oh, okay. That's different then. You're saying why it is what you're selling exists, not so much what your story, like it's not about you, it's about what you're trying to sell.
Absolutely. Yeah. Like this is 100% business. I mean, that's a very good point actually, because like what you say is 100% true, because a lot of businesses, what they do is they think, yeah, me sharing a story will make people, like me more, something like that. But if that story is not related to my service or my product, and it doesn't create a new realization in the viewer's mind about what's possible for them, then that's a useless story. Because say for example, in my video, if I talked about say I talked about like a bad day I was having or something a long time ago, and randomly if I segued from that to my business, first of all, it would not flow. Secondly, it would not do anything to make the concept clear in my viewer's mind. But because I was able to share my story, which was very relevant to the problems that my existing clients are already facing, they are able to put themselves in my shoes through my story and experience that with me in my story. So it makes it easier for them to what do you call it?
Relate.
To relate. It makes it relatable.
Yeah, I get that. And I see the relevance in what you're saying. I just find that a lot of people use stories as a way of, oh, my life was so hard and this happened to me and that happened to me. And oh my God, everything bad in the world happened to me. And then all of a sudden I found this thing,
Yeah.
And it pisses me off no end.
That's like I think that's overdone.
Overdone completely.
That's overdone. So this part is it uses story as like a precursor to selling, to putting your solution forward, really. So it doesn't, like, if you we tried sharing the video earlier, so this will make a lot more sense once you watch the actual once you watch the actual video itself. We spend a little bit of time on story, maybe like 15-20 seconds. It depends business to business, but yeah, it's because you have to keep in mind, we have to get this whole thing in within 3 minutes. So we can't dwell on the story forever. It's just showing the relatability factor, and then showing how your unique process relates to your story, like which part of your story actually confirms that your unique value proposition, if that makes sense.
Yes, thank you.
Cliff, would I be right in saying there are stories and there are stories? The stories that relate to the client's needs, and the other stories that look at me. Stay away from those ones.
Exactly. Yeah. Spot
Totally.
on. Spot on. 100%. Yeah. If it's like, look at me, then first of all, you'll know that they're not getting any customers, because that's been done to that. Yeah, it's all about business, and this one, it's making it relevant. It always has to be relevant. Okay, is I know I've gone on for quite a bit. Is there anyone else who wants to ask anything?
Apologies for interrupting. Sorry.
No, it was a great question actually, because yeah, that's true. It's it is a problem. Okay, I'll carry on.
What is the UVP?
Yeah, so that's the next one. So UVP is basically a unique value proposition. It's basically what makes you different. Ultimately, it's, in this part you say what makes us different is, X, Y, Z. And there's a lot of misconceptions about what needs to happen here. So when you go on most like websites and even in videos, what you'll find is people say, what makes me unique is we care about our customers, or we have high quality of service, and we won these awards, we are best-selling authors. These are not really unique value propositions. These are claims, basically. They don't make, I think I made a list of something like 40 things that people use as UVPs, but they're not really something that make the business stand out. So UVP is basically, it stems from your story, because your story will basically identify something that was lacking in your industry, that was not giving your clients the results that they wanted. So for example, in my, I keep going to my own one. I should probably, let me go back to my own one. In my own story video, based 5D story video, what we had identified at the start was that like businesses were spending a lot of money on making videos. There was a lot of buzz about making these videos. When they were released, everyone got excited and everything. But as soon as time passed by, people forgot about those videos. And they just collect digital dust, basically. So we introduced processes where we said, okay, we'll actually fix that first. We'll focus on how to make these videos relevant, even like long after that thing is long after the buzz of launching a new video has died off. So our UVP was, we show you how to make this video into a long-term sales process, into a long-term asset, rather than just a one-off item, basically. So the UVP is quite short. It's just a statement. So next part is your process. This is probably, I would say, the most important part of the whole video, apart from the hook, because the process basically gives confidence to your audience, to show them that whatever claims you've made right up until now in your hook, in your story, in your UVP, you actually have steps in place to make them tangible, to make them repeatable, to make them consistent. Without the process, all you have is marketing claims. And people are so fed up of listening to claim after claim after claim that will help you scale your business, will find you the love of your life, or whatever it is, the claim that you're making. If you don't show your audience how you actually do it, then it loses its believability. And the way I do it with my clients is I split the process into either 3 or 5 big phases. So there will be a lot of steps in your process that ensure that you give the results that your clients want. But if you're able to group those processes into 3 big phases, then it's a lot easier for your audience to consume that content, first of all. And secondly, it is to infuse the confidence that, okay, this guy is probably, it shows that he's done it before and he can do it again, or he or she or whatever. So that's what the process is, hugely overlooked, but yeah, it's one of the most powerful parts of this video, and in fact of any video that is got some kind of direct response element in it. By direct response, I mean you post the video and you expect people to take action based on it. And then the final part of this video is the action. So whatever you've been doing right up until now is, identifying your ideal customer, and then showing them, making them problem aware, giving them a new understanding of the problem through your story, and then showing them how you deliver it. And by this time, if they've identified themselves as an ideal prospect, then you tell them what to do next. So this is quite straightforward. You say, if you are XYZ who's looking to achieve, certain thing in your business or in your personal life, then take the following step. Maybe it's fill out a discovery form or get on a call. And thing that a lot of businesses miss in the action step is they don't tell what will happen next. So make sure you do that as well. So once someone gets in touch with you, what will happen next? So you need to incentivize them to get in touch with you in the first place. So whether that will be, you show them, the exact strategies that will help them get that result that they want, or maybe you'll get on a clarity call to help them understand their current situation a bit better. Whatever it is, make that clear in your action step. And all of this, you can compress into the 3 minutes of your video. In fact, you can do it in less than 3 minutes if you've really zoned in on all of these elements. So the way I like to do it is write all these down before you deliver your video. Now, obviously, I do these on a higher production scale, but still, what makes those videos work is this, the message. It's not the visuals. The visuals help with the visual engagement, of course, and if for bigger brands and companies that that require to have that sort of image, production quality obviously is super important. But without the message, it's not effective. So I think any business can, and anyone can do this this type of video. I've explained each of these steps in a lot more detail in the article. I was going to share my own video, but Nick and I discovered that sound doesn't really travel on this on Zoom presentation, so it's not that important. So you can just go and check it on the article, or yeah, it goes through the same stuff. It gives a demonstration of how I did this. So now is basically where do you plug this video so that it does this. Sorry, you can probably hear my my 1-year-old screaming his head off. It's almost bedtime. Yeah, I'll try to march on. So basically, the goal of this video is not to create new systems, but plug it in places where people are already finding you. So for me, that place was LinkedIn. It just happened to be LinkedIn at the time because that's all I knew. I use LinkedIn and a one-page website. So I had this video on a one-page website, and all that one-page website had was it had a booking link where people could book a call with me, and that's pretty much all. So the first thing is obviously website, landing pages, sales pages. If you're running an ad campaign, for example, then you're sending people to a landing page. This video would give them like a whole summary on why they should trust you in the first place, and what makes you unique and all those things. Second thing is your email signature. So in like whether you do email marketing, or even if you don't do email marketing and you're using in your day-to-day emails, then this can be a link in your signature, where it's basically a clickable link that sends people either to your landing page or to your YouTube or your Vimeo. On my signature, I think it goes to my Vimeo page, just because, yeah, it's loads quicker, basically. Other places, so you would pin this to the top on your Facebook business page, LinkedIn business page, Twitter if you have one. So that whenever people land on your business page, for example, again, they have a broad overview of your business and understand what you stand for. Proposals is this is a unique one we use in our own proposals. So when we are making proposals on big projects to clients, this goes on the first page of our proposals. So this is before the sale is complete. One of our clients as well does it in proposals where they get direct analytics from the proposal software that shows who clicked on the video, how much did they watch of it, and you can do all kinds of things with that. Referrals. So even if you don't have a website, you can still use this video. So when I was doing a lot of physical networking, this is how I would use the video. So if somebody first met with me, then if I give them a business card, they might not remember me. I'm not very good at making very good first strong impressions in person. So if I send them this video instead, I found it converted a lot better, because within those 3 minutes, I'm not asking for a huge time commitment. I'm asking them just to watch a 3-minute video of me, and from that they know if we are a good fit or if we are not. It's quite straightforward. Direct messaging, again, this is what I used to do a lot in the beginning on LinkedIn. So I would find my ideal prospect, show them how we can help them, and if they how we can help them with a very specific problem, and if they wanted to know more about us, rather than sending to a huge website where they would have to find all the information, I just send them to this one video. And this is pretty obvious, YouTube optimized for local search. So if you're a local business, then use the right keywords and do all the SEO things that you would do normally, so that whenever people search for your service in your locality, then they find this video first, they will understand why they should work with you. And paid promo, this is like a whole new topic of its own, but you can pay Facebook to put this video in front of people who are your ideal customer. So if you're selling to business owners, then Facebook allows you to target people based on what they do, their interests, their locations, and all things like that, which I don't want to go too deep into, but again, that's another way of using it. I've used this myself in paid promos, and it works pretty well. So I don't know, this slide was not supposed to be here, but it's the same thing, hook story. The concept is of having the stories, basically it combines emotion and logic to make a very powerful value proposition. And this quote by Roy H. Williams, probably one of the greatest marketers in terms of direct response advertising. This is what he had to say: win the heart and the mind will follow. The mind will justify whatever the heart has decided. So what it means is basically we make decisions based on emotion, and then we use logic to justify those decisions. And through this type of video, you're able to make like your value proposition known in a way that it connects both logically and emotionally with your audience. That's it. So that's the QR code to my article, which has all of this stuff in a lot more detail. Feel free to check it out. There's no opt-in or anything. It's just an article that I've given away. And if you have any questions at this point, feel free to ask.
Hey, sorry, I'm not good with names. Sorry, Cliff. Mate, I've got products and everything, and like I've got this hologram that I would like to advertise for my website. What's the best way to do it? Like, I've got the cameras and everything, but I want to put it on YouTube. And is it better to like get the laptop or get the camera like a normal camera setup to do it?
So you're asking like in terms of setup, what type of?
Oh no, to do videos like what you're doing, like the 3-minute video thing.
Oh yeah, so you can do this using anything. Like you can literally do it with your webcam if that's all you have, but you can do it with your phone camera. So use whatever phone, like smartphone camera if you have. What I would do is focus first on the message and identify these key elements, and then keep your phone on a tripod or something like that and deliver it into camera. So you don't have to memorize everything as such. What you can do is write it down in bullet points, and so that you don't drift too far away from the message.
Yeah.
Deliver your message while you're recording, obviously. And then in post-production, you can edit it and remove all these gaps and remove the bad takes and the ums and ahs and all those things. And that way, what will happen is, rather than memorizing something or even reading off a teleprompter, which, to be honest, most people are not really natural at, myself included, I'm really bad at it. It's better if you write down in bullet points and present it that way into your phone camera. That's more than enough.
Okay, thanks for that.
No worries.
Good presentation, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah, Cliff, gives great presentation, so thank you for that.
Thank you.
Just a quick question. I know you mentioned at the start that when you started, you focused specifically in niche markets. Would you recommend us sort of focusing in specific target market for one video? If you want to go to a different market, would we have to create another video for that, or how would you go about that?
So really good question. So if you're targeting different niches, then what I would say is make this video as the one broad video. And what are your niches, for example?
It'll be properties.
Properties.
So, yeah.
And what is your service?
We provide virtual reality tools and 3D tools for businesses as well. And also, businesses that can show their internal, obviously, premises and things like that, like restaurants and things, or properties and real estate agents and stuff like that. So there's two different markets there all together already. Okay.
So one niche is, so for me, like a niche is more of a problem rather than an industry. So for me, the way I'm saying it is, one niche is real estate agents. Is that?
Yes. Yeah.
That's one, and the other one is homeowners. Is it?
No, it'll be like local businesses.
Local businesses.
Yeah. So
restaurants
and things like that.
So there are two different niches because they have two different problems.
Mm-hmm.
So what you would need to do is basically identify the problems related to your service, the live visualization software that businesses are facing. So there'll be a list of problems. Maybe that's they want to show their inside premises in a better way, better presentation, maybe, or creating guides, maybe, I don't know what it is. So identify the problems for them and identify the problems for the real estate agents. And then make very problem-centric videos that show how your service solves those problems for each of them. So those are two separate videos that will have nothing to do with story and everything, because someone who watches this, they don't care about you at this point. They care about what can you do for them.
That's right.
So if you solve that problem, then they are willing to see, okay, how can this guy help me? So that's when they'll come to your website, they'll watch this video, they'll understand, okay, this is why he does this. This is his unique process. This is how he delivers on it. And this is what we should do next. So this is basically, if you're familiar with like funnels and stuff, this is like a mid-funnel video. It's not typically used in top of funnel. It can be, but if you're going niche specific, then top of funnel, you would have very problem and solution centric videos. Or it doesn't even have to be videos. It can be even, images and ad copy. It depends. It depends what kind of. So I would start testing with like written copy. That's what I do with my own content as well. So if there's anything I'm planning to make into a video, I just test it out through written copy. If it converts, then I know it's worth spending time turning it into a video. Otherwise, it's like a lot of effort.
So you're saying basically have it sort of get the a sort of generic problem for those markets.
Yeah.
Condense it into one video that, regardless of where they are coming from, they could sense the problem that they've got, and then there's a solution there for them.
Yeah. So the problem has to be sort of very specific to them. So don't go too broad on the problem, like, because everyone's going broad on problems. So when you're going into a niche, it's much better if you like able to understand. So maybe speak with business owners, check out in groups what kind of things are they complaining about when it comes to their presentation, or maybe their shop front, or maybe they're not able to sell because of COVID or whatever it is. And find out what exactly link those problems that your solution can solve. And that's like a separate video of its own, or a text video, whatever.
Okay.
And then lead them on to this video.
Got it. Appreciate that. Thank you.
No worries. Welcome.
All right. Any other questions for Cliff?
Yeah, I got one, Nick. Cliff, right early in your presentation, you're talking about the hook, and you mentioned you spend more time working that out
than
the rest of it. Well, so do I. So how do you know, or how do you sort of know when you've got the right hook?
Yeah,
what's been your process of narrowing down?
That's an incredibly deep question. So there's one book actually on this. It's called 6 Greatest Leads. So it's not about leads as such, but it's not leads as in the leads that we're talking about, but it's lead in a video or in a statement. So it's the first thing that people connect with. So the way I identify is understanding the levels of market sophistication. So if you go back to this one here, market sophistication. First, I understand what level of market sophistication my audience has. So this is where it all starts. Understanding, what kind of messages are they exposed to? What kind of products are on the market? What are the shortcomings of those products, of those services on market? And how often are these people subjected to these messages? Because chances are, no matter how good your hook is, if it is similar, if it is something that your audience has already experienced in the past and it has not worked out, then it's like, regardless of how good your hook is, it won't cut through, because same with this, like this example here, the diet pills. When it first came out, simply saying something like, get these diet pills and lose weight instantly, would have been a good enough hook. But with time, people get used to that sort of hook, and it loses its effectiveness because everyone else is doing it. So I would say understanding your understanding your market. For me, I knew my market was at complete saturation, not yet jaded, cynical, because everyone, like anyone can claim they can make video, right? I mean, all you need is a phone. Nowadays, phone cameras are so great that it's not difficult to make a great looking video. And the marketing messages were reflecting that. So I started with that as the first reference point, so that my audience could relate with that, and then took them to a new sort of realization that it's not about how good your product or service looks. It's there's other things to it, and that for me was a hook that worked well for me. And I do a similar process. I take my clients through a similar process where we do a lot of research on the customer. It's all about the customer, what they are experiencing. Does that help?
Yes, it does. Yeah. My hook under your explanation would be around somewhere about step 1, step 2 stage.
Okay. Wow.
Pretty new.
That should be easy. Yeah, I mean,
it's the wording too.
Yeah, but step 1, not so much, because all you have to say is, this is the offer. Yeah, it's so blindingly obvious if you're first to market. If you're second to market, then then it needs to be something like, this is what I offer within a certain time frame, or without doing the thing you hate doing, or something like that. It needs to be a little bit more sophisticated. At mass competition, then you start getting a bit more complex about misconceptions and all those things. And then stage 4 is where stage 5 is story. There's no other way at stage 5. Story is the only thing that cuts through. That's why it's so heavily used. So when someone's at stage 5, so for example, if someone's launching diet pills now, they wouldn't even launch a direct response campaign straight away. So they would launch a brand marketing campaign, which is purely like story based. That's what like brands like Nike and all these guys do. They don't have much of a differentiation. What they're selling is basically shoes. So they never market, we have better soles, or we have better grip, or we have, our shoes last longer. You'll never find them do that. Their ads will always be about, we believe in X, Y, Z. These are our values. This is a story of an athlete. I think they made an amazing campaign during COVID where they brought together different stories of able-bodied and disabled athletes, I think, and that just got fire. So they are in a jaded market, which is the hardest one. And there it's absolutely like 100% story hook.
But thanks, Cliff. That's great explanation.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, as much as I don't want to do it, I think we're going to need to stop it here. Fantastic presentation there, Cliff, and hope everyone sort of come away with some ideas about what to do with your video, especially story-driven videos, with that 5-stage process. So I found that incredibly helpful. So thanks very much, Cliff.
Okay.
Do you want to unshare your screen?
Yes, yeah.
Yep. And then we can ask for a round of virtual applause for Cliff. So excellent.
Thanks, everyone.
Fantastic.
Very good. Thanks for listening.
Yeah. Now you do have a door prize to give away for tonight too, don't you?
Yes, yeah. So I'll help one business owner here with a 45-minute session where I'll help you identify your 5 elements in your 5D story. So what we'll do is we'll sit together on a call. We'll record the call. I'll send you a form that I send to my own clients. This is not something I sell separately, but I think it'll be incredibly useful for someone to identify the 5 elements so that you can take away the recording and then, film it yourself.
Awesome. So anyone interested in that? Whoop, there's a few hands going up there. Excellent. All right. So we've got a special way of drawing this as normal. So we've got our wheel of names. All of your names are in there. Remember that to win this, you actually have to be in the room. All right, so let's spin the wheel. Something on me, better wake up. She's trying to get home. She can make up the real love. And unfortunately, David has left the room. He had another meeting to go to. So it means that everybody's in the drawer again. Hey, do you like that music? I just found they've got some extra controls with us. So
I thought someone had left their mic on.
all righty. So Colin, are you still here? Colin Mackey. There he is. No, Colin is still in the room. He might have
Yes, I'm still here. Thank you very much. That's good.
Excellent. Awesome. So yeah, that'd be great for you too, Colin. So and also
yeah, we're just about ready to release some stuff now, so that'll be perfect.
Nice. Awesome. And Colin's a great person to connect with, also Cliff as well too. So I think that's a win for both of you.
Awesome.
So maybe if you swap details in chat there or whatever, you can certainly get hold of Cliff on Story Driven Video. I have dropped the link into chat. I'll just drop it in here again as well. Well worth going to his website, and that article is in his blog. So his presentation is there as well too, and he's got all of the videos. So you'll be able to get to see some of the videos that he's done. So thanks once again, Cliff, for sharing your evening with us, particularly having a 1-year-old in the background there, probably crying out for you, and a wife there that's sort of saying, Cliff, we need you here to give a hand. So thanks very much for spending your evening with us. For everyone else, also thanks again for joining us again tonight. It was your first time. Thanks for coming along. Hope you enjoyed it, and I hope that everyone has come away with some great stuff to be able to use and implement. And I look forward to seeing some of your videos, some of your stories online as well too. So look forward to seeing you again. This video will be up, this recording or replay will be up on YouTube tomorrow afternoon. So if you do want to watch it again, go along to YouTube, subscribe to the SmashGo channel. And if you hit the bell, there's a little bell when you subscribe, then you'll get a notification as soon as it's up for you to watch again. So we'll be here again, same time, same place next week with another topic. But for now, let's give Cliff a final round of applause and a thank you for this. See you all again next week.